Hello everybody and welcome back to the Ronin Diaries. One thing that I've always found interesting while doing research for videos like this is the different perspectives that people can have on specific characters. Take Sanji for example. To some, he's a golden example of what a gentleman should be, and rightfully so, stands right next to Zoro as an equal. While to others, he's just the pervy cook of the crew who actually sucks so much he was knocked down to number 4. And while some would likely say this either has to do with Oda's writing style or the way Toei Animation has handled Sanji's characterization in general, I would just argue that a lot of people aren't understanding the full scope of the character in these moments. Many argue whether or not Goku is a good father. Many argue whether or not Hisoka is just a Diddy fan. But once again, I want to bring the conversation back around to my favorite character, Kakashi. Now, let's be clear, my bias before breaking everything down is yes. He absolutely is, and I know that from watching the show nearly 8 times to this point and reading the manga twice. That being said, what I see online usually falls into one of 2 categories, and answer a question that I've been seeing a lot online, and that is, was Kakashi actually a good teacher in the first place? Either A, Kakashi didn't spend enough time with his students and didn't teach them hardly anything at all, or B, Kakashi spent too much time with Sasuke and showed way too much favoritism. So I think the most appropriate way to go about this is by systematically going through each student and what he taught them individually, and what those lessons and techniques evolved into. Because remember, to teach somebody doesn't just mean to teach them a new jutsu. Teaching a life lesson that grows and helps foster the next generation is just as, if not more, important. Afterwards, we'll talk about his supposed favoritism towards Sasuke, and then end the video with our final result. And if you want to see me talk about more Naruto content in the future, don't forget to hit that like button down below for me. Make sure you are subscribed, that way you know when each and every single one of my videos comes out, and make sure you have that little bell rung. So, starting things off, I think it makes the most logical sense to start with Sakura, since she not only seems to take the least amount of lessons from Kakashi out of the 3, but also is the most contentious character within Team 7 itself. Starting with the bell test, Sakura is tested on her mental aptitude when Kakashi uses a genjutsu on her and shows her imagery of Sasuke in a mortally wounded state, even going so far as to have his limbs twisted in the manga version. And this, understandably so, terrifies Sakura enough to make her faint. After the bell test, we actually don't get much one-on-one time between Kakashi and Sakura, but notable moments would include Kakashi's chakra control training, which Sakura not only passed with flying colors, but even excelled past both Naruto and Sasuke in that category. Another point in Sakura's favor is her actually having some usefulness in the Konoha Crush arc by dispelling the genjutsu that was placed on Naruto and what would have been placed on Shikamaru if he wasn't faking. I mean, thinking about it logically, Naruto had shown his multi-shadow clone jutsu technique and had squared up with the likes of Haku and even Gaara, while Sasuke had already unlocked his Sharingan and was able to learn the Chidori. Meanwhile, what had Sakura really shown up to this point? Nothing. I mean, definitely the mental fortitude to cut her own hair off and show her determination, but technique-wise, Sakura really didn't have much in her wheelhouse. And with Kakashi being an important shinobi always on missions, and Sakura's perspective changed on how she wishes to proceed forward, there wasn't really much for Kakashi to teach her. He can't use medical ninjutsu, and without her showing a specialty in any technique type, there wasn't much for Kakashi to help grow. But with the chakra control he helped her gain towards the beginning of the series, her building blocks to become the greatest medical kunoichi in history had been placed. And it could all be tied back to that tree climbing exercise. Now, when it comes to post-time skip, things for Sakura really don't get much better as most of her training is done off-screen. That being said though, I would like to argue that Kakashi did help foster one more of Sakura's skills, even if done so unintentionally, and that was her tactical prowess. Now, it's not to say that Tsunade wouldn't have taught her anything tactics-wise, and it's also not to say that Sakura wasn't already smart. However, as Shippuden progresses, we start to see Sakura take on a leadership role more and more often, with her efforts during the war being a prime example. And I can't help feel that a good amount of her leadership and tactical know-how comes from a various amount of her missions with Kakashi. Let's not forget, she was there when the Itachi clone appeared, she was there during the rescue mission for Gaara, and she doesn't need to be told what to do on the battlefield. Is Sakura useless? No. Was she taught a lot by Kakashi, all things considered? Also no. But what she has learned from him, either by lesson or by example, has shaped her into a powerhouse of a kunoichi, a tactical juggernaut, and an extremely reliable person to lean on. I give Sakura's training grade a 7 out of 10. Now, with Sakura out of the way, let's talk about our number one knuckle-headed ninja and how the lessons he learned from Kakashi differ just a bit from his kunoichi counterpart. Naruto, alongside Sakura, was given the Bell test, and during the time, it was made evident to Kakashi that the only thing Naruto really had going for him was his trust in others, his immense chakra reserves, and his tenacity. Just like Sakura, Naruto also practiced the tree climbing exercise, and while he didn't necessarily do as well as Sakura or pick up on the technique as quickly, he still managed to learn it and gain some basic chakra control. However, shortly after this, Naruto also finds himself in a similar boat to Sakura, as shortly after their mission in the Land of Waves ends, the Chunin exams begins. As we all famously know, Kakashi is currently training Sasuke to prepare him for his final match, so Naruto needs to find a new sensei to train under. And that's when Jiraiya takes center stage as Naruto's main teacher and grandfather figure. Just like Sakura, this is kind of where the story takes a turn and leads into Shippuden, after a few more major events. But unlike Sakura, Naruto didn't feel as rounded or ready as a character upon his arrival back to the Leaf. While it's true that he and Sakura did technically pass the second Bell test, Naruto found himself stumbling a lot in his earlier part of Shippuden. At this point, all he had really learned was to make a bigger Rasengan, and it would be a while before he had really learned anything of substance. Enter Kakashi. Seeing Naruto's internal struggle with the idea of catching up to Sasuke, Kakashi recognizes the need for Naruto to develop and in one fell swoop teaches Naruto two of the most important tools in his arsenal moving forward. The more obvious of the two being Naruto's discovery of his wind-style chakra nature, which Naruto would then later turn into the immensely powerful Rasen Shuriken. However, I do think that there's one thing that gets overlooked a lot in a lot of these discussions when it comes to Kakashi's teaching prowess, and that's teaching Naruto how to use the shadow clones. Think about the fact that up to this point, Naruto has likely made hundreds, if not thousands of clones in the last 3 years. And the entire time, he didn't realize he shares experiences with those clones. Now, not only can he reap the benefits of their training, effectively raising his potential without limit, but he can also use these clones to gather intel and study. I truly believe that Kakashi opened up a potential Pandora's box with this revelation, and the only thing that kept Naruto from becoming the most powerful character in the world's existence was his own stupidity for studying. After Naruto defeats Pain and becomes known as the hero of the Hidden Leaf, Naruto starts walking beside Kakashi less as a student and more like a peer. Yes, Kakashi is much more skilled than Naruto on how to be a shinobi and has much more years of experience and knowledge. But the power gap becomes so huge that Naruto is able to fight alongside Kakashi and thus saves the last bit of tutelage seemingly when Naruto is finally ready to take on the role of Hokage, just like his sensei before him. For Naruto in particular, I'm giving Kakashi a score of 8 out of 10. He did have a very influential way in Naruto's training, in Naruto's development, and in the fact that we learned Naruto's chakra nature through Kakashi's training, but it is up for debate who Naruto's most influential teacher is, and if I'm being completely honest, I think that goes to Killer Bee. And finally, we make it to the moment that everyone's been waiting for, and I'm sure the most contentious point in the video, Kakashi's relationship with Sasuke. Instead of re-going over everything that Sasuke learned alongside Naruto and Sakura ad nauseum, I want to quickly run through the obvious things that Sasuke learned, and then talk about some of the more nuanced points I feel some people may be forgetting or choosing to admit when talking about the connection of these two characters. Just like the rest of his team, Sasuke was tested on the fundamentals during the Bell test, and was quickly shown that despite being the top of his class, he was still very much so a small fish in the pond that is the ninja world. Shortly afterwards, the basics of chakra control is learned, and it's here of note that Sasuke wasn't doing any better than Naruto in this exercise for the most part, which is surprising considering Sasuke is supposed to be a genius even in his younger years. However, after the team's mission on the Great Naruto Bridge, this is where Sasuke's relation to Kakashi differs a bit from the rest of the team. Sasuke and the rest of the team are attacked in the Forest of Death by Orochimaru, leaving Sasuke with a curse mark and unable to control his flow of chakra. And after not only learning this new information, but seeing Sasuke's development with the Sharingan, it became evident that Kakashi needed to give this student in particular some one-on-one training. And it's here where all of the favoritism comments really start to flood in, but I mean, Kakashi's motives and actions make sense if you think about it. The Chunin exams are a marker to see if a ninja is ready to proceed into a bit more of a leadership role, and should be done so off the merits of the individual shinobi alone. So there wasn't going to be any involvement from Kakashi in the first place. But now, one of his students was attacked and had a curse mark placed on them, is developing a new ability that only Kakashi can help flourish, and obviously needs some new technique to help defend himself because nothing in his previous arsenal worked on his attacker. This made it very evident to Kakashi that one of his students in particular needed some one-on-one training. And more than anything, Kakashi's words to Sasuke about revenge hold a chilling foreshadow as to what's to come later in the series, as Sasuke's revenge leads him to kill the only sibling that he has, which he ultimately ends up regretting, and then ultimately ends up in the loss of his arm as well. After Sasuke leaves the Hidden Leaf and we move into Shippuden, the relationship between Sasuke and Kakashi is tenuous at best. With few interactions and most of them involving Sasuke's arrogance to constantly try to undermine Kakashi, I can't imagine that Kakashi even likes Sasuke all too much or would be even keen to teach him much more. However, Sasuke does owe Kakashi extremely for one thing in particular, and that's all the Chidori variants he has. Without Chidori as the base, Sasuke would have no Chidori Spear, Chidori Senbon, Chidori Stream, or even the Susanoo Chidori for that matter. And when you really boil it down, Sasuke has 3 jutsu bases: Fireball, Chidori, Sharingan, 2 of which Kakashi had a major role in developing. So for Sasuke, Kakashi gets a grade of 9 out of 10. So what's the overall verdict? Is Kakashi a bad teacher? Well, if we go solely off the numbers that we gave each of his students, Kakashi would get a sum total of 24.5 out of 30, which is a B-. All things considered, I would think this is a pretty fair assessment. I really did want to see more of Kakashi and Sakura training together, as I think there should have been a section where Sakura went more in depth with the summoning jutsu, seeing as the rest of the team utilized it pretty heavily. It would have been a really nice moment to see Sakura capitulate back and forth whether or not she should get a summon similar to Kakashi Sensei that tracks, that has, maybe multiple animals within it, or something more like Tsunade, which is a big summon that heals, that helps its allies, and that can defend her in general. The struggle going back and forth would have been a really nice touch into more of Sakura's inner dialogue, and honestly, I think this was just a big missed opportunity. In regards to Naruto, I think Kakashi trained him extremely well for what he had to work with. The only thing Kakashi really would have been able to do more for Naruto at this point would have been helping him train with the Nine Tails. But let's be real here, if Jiraiya wasn't going to get it done, I don't think Kakashi, even with Yamato, was going to help facilitate that either. What about Sasuke? Well, Kakashi did teach him how to hone and properly use most of his best tools to date, so I don't think that there's much more Kakashi would have been able to do for Sasuke, aside from maybe letting Sasuke copy all 1000 of his jutsu. Overall, I think Kakashi is a great teacher and suffers from his own success, and I only mean that slightly hyperbolically. I mean, a lot of the reason why Kakashi is taken out of the story when he's needed most is either because he's on a mission away from the village, or he's in the hospital due to a fight that he just had for defending the village. The man is an absolute smoke demon, and when he's not defending the village or in the hospital, he's teaching his students what he knows when he can. And honestly, I think that makes Kakashi a great teacher overall. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below for me. Make sure you are subscribed and make sure you have that bell rung. That way you know when each and every single one of my videos comes out. And if you could, show me a little appreciation on this video. First video file got corrupted. Second video file got deleted. So this is my third time recording this video and why it's been like 3 weeks since I've posted anything aside from shorts. So if you enjoyed, hit that thumbs up for me. Make sure you're subscribed. And I will see you guys next time.